last week about when was your last practice. You finally got to be back at home and have like a real practice. It's been like 7 weeks. What was that like?
We were just, first of all, sleeping in our own beds 2 nights in a row. That's a huge win. And yesterday we came in and we just walked through. But it was great just assembling and getting our feet on the ground. And today we had a real practice. And it just, I know the guys were talking about it, right? Like just getting back on their routine. Dre was talking to me because, man, we had to trade, and then he really hasn't, gotten kind of his feet on the ground, and because I just felt nice being home and actually having a practice. So I think the guys really are glad to be back and back on it.
On a different note, you talked about how you finally have gotten the feel of Max at this point.
Yeah.
Specifically with his passing, the relationship that he has with his picks, like what have you noticed as a coach with what he's been able to do there?
Yeah, and I don't know why it's taken me so long. Like just his, all the hit and hand back stuff, right? He'll throw it to J.A. or Evan and chase it. And I knew he was good at it, but I didn't know to what degree. And obviously we get the numbers on it and all that, but you're going to see more of that. And I think that's going to help DG and Don a little bit, and get them out of pick and roll all the time, but using Max. I should put in 2 things for him today, just him, throw and go get it back. Because Serena, like you said, he's the guy that's really feeds those guys when they roll. And of course, he's got the threat of coming off and shooting. So definitely use him in that role a little more.
What makes him so good? Is it more of a vision thing that he's always looking out for them, or how he moves?
I just think he had it with Bam, right? The throw and go, right? So you throw it to Bam, and then you come off, a quick DHO, quick handoff, and then the big can screen. It's different from a pick and roll. You can get the hand back and you can shoot. He's a good cutter, so if the big doesn't give it to him, he'll cut more, and you need like a tremendous amount of energy to do that, to play that game. There's very few guys in the league that have the energy to, throw and go all the time. But he's one of the few.
Did Ty participate in the real practice today?
No. He's in there right now, conditioning and stuff. So, like I said, this is not long term. I think we're being conservative, which I'm a fan of, and you'll see him back. He definitely, I just talked to him. He definitely wants to get, 3-4 games in. Like he doesn't want to let go the whole time, and we don't want to play it too conservatively. We want him to get his rhythm before that.
And you talked the other night about one of the things that you took from Ty Lue was at the end of practices, devote some time for playoff preparation.
Yeah.
Have you brought that here to Cleveland? Do you do that with practice?
Yeah. Sometimes I kick myself because I'm not consistent enough with it, but we try, and I'd give us a B, right? Like we could be even better. Sometimes you get sidetracked, but oh man, we got to clean up rebounding. We hey, we forgot, to do end of game home run play or some special situation or some tactic, right? But it's a really important kind of learning piece for me when I was with Ty.
And you have talked since the beginning, ever since you got here, that you want to be a defense first team. And all the guys have been saying, we're still a defense first team.
Yep. You're
the number 1 offense in the NBA. Like, what has to happen for you to consider yourself something other than a defense first team?
I think the guys know that's going to be the playoffs, right? Like, are we going to be able to get stops? And so it's a little bit. Definitely defense first. We know we need balance, and the offense has been a little bit of a surprise, quite honestly, that we're kind of that good, and I think it comes down to we have a lot of guys having career years, but they know we have to up our defensive level and up our rebounding level, right? Like we really had slippage in the past month, and We did a couple drills today, like in college, box out drills, and showed some film on it. So, and listen, sometimes it's coach slippage too, right? I don't want to put it all on the players. I asked our staff, have we slipped in terms of, emphasizing it? And this is the challenge we have. We have so many kind of things on the wall to get better at, but there was slippage there on coaches and players on that one.
I feel like it gets glossed over sometimes. How little practice time you guys get as a professional sports franchise. Shouldn't there be more time budgeted for practice?
I wish, remember, so I presented a slide to the team, I think it was the first day of training camp, and I put out how many practice days, how many recovery days, how many game days, how many shoot around, all that. And do you remember the number? I'm embarrassed I don't remember, but I think the practice, it was like shocking. It was high 20s or low 30s. Like, oh, that's. And my point to the guys, like, this is kind of more of and the recovery days were like way more than that, right? And so, and my emphasis was more like, listen, this is a recovery league. Like, we have to pay attention in the performance room and getting our cold tub and massage, all the stuff they do in there, and how important. I don't know. I think everyone was shocked. Like, what? That's it? That's all the? I'll get you guys the number. I have it on a PowerPoint, but it's way less than people think. So that shifts a lot of our work into the film room. We do a ton of film and a ton of walkthrough. So just literally walking through stuff so they don't. We keep their loads down.
You emphasized having Max Strus alongside the core four, even including him in
Yeah.
the core four in some of your statistics. But when this season is coming to a close and the playoffs are coming very soon, do you think you're going to keep him as the starting small forward when the playoffs show up?
I mean, I don't think because I think once the playoffs come, everything's on the table, right? Who are you playing? What's the matchup? Does that work? And that's everybody. Like, that's kind of how it goes, and these guys understand it. So we've loved Max with that starting at core four, but playoffs, everything's on the table, I think.
Going off of that, there was a lot of talk after the DeAndre Hunter trade was made whether or not he'd be a starter or coming off the bench. He's only played 30 minutes with the grouping of Mitchell, Allen, Mobley, and Garland. Is there anything that you've seen in that time on the court that you've kept?
Not enough sample, and if I'd like to look at it more. I know we don't have a ton of games left, but I definitely want to look at that more. It's something we talked about as a staff. Part of the issue is that he's been so good with one big on the floor, especially Evan. It's like we've kind of gone with that, like optimizing lineups and that. But because we've done that, we haven't gotten them at the three as much as we'd like. So that's a little bit. Hopefully we can squeeze that in as the playoffs approach here. Sooner rather than later.
Would you have any hesitancy with like going to a lineup like that?
No, and it's a lot about our skill level a little bit, because a lot of times lineups don't work because there's not enough shooting. And I feel, especially with Evan shooting the ball the way he is, I feel a little more comfortable just kind of throwing guys. Someone said, oh, you can't play Isaac and Dean together. Actually, they've been good together, right? Or Isaac isn't good with the starting, or the core four because he's not an offensive player, but actually the offensive numbers have been great. And I just feel like I feel much more comfortable with this team mixing and matching. So I wouldn't hesitate for 1 second, even though we haven't seen it a lot. Playing Dre at the three with the core four.
Talking about the lineups, it's got a little philosophical question for you. When you're creating those, when you're playing with rotations, is it more of an art, more of a science?
Both. Is it 50-50? Probably. I think it's. I definitely think it's. You can't just go on the analytics, especially. The whole deal with the 5-man lineups. A lot of them don't have enough sample size, and then you start going down to small, 3-man lineups. Obviously, you can get better sample size earlier, but now you're leaving out 2 players, and our analytics department helps us with that. We look at it constantly, and then it's just it's a feel, my feel and the staff's feel, and then it's the players. Like I'll get feedback from the players, like what do you know, especially the main guys, you know, Donovan, hey, what do you think? You like playing, you know, with this guy or this group, and I mean, who knows? Like, right, last year Donovan and Evan didn't really play together, and we kind of flipped that. And Donovan and JA, right? We flipped the kind of combos, and you don't know if it's going to work. And it's kind of a little bit the same thing for the playoffs. Now the playoffs, you better hit it. And if it doesn't hit right away, you got to be able to adjust quick.
Kenny, going back to your comments on recovery and sort of the proportions of it, was that your philosophy, or where'd you get that from?
It's evolved, and I think I've been around great kind of holistic integrated programs. I've seen what it looks like, and I kind of, my player development background, I think you know, the performance piece is a big piece of it, right? And I talked about it the other night, how much I'm a little like you know, those European soccer coaches, they go around with their fitness coaches. Like I like the sports science guys are huge these days, with load management, with minute, you know, kind of delegating minutes. I talked to him about that in practice today. I was constantly talking with Juan, like, hey, where are we in practice? He said we're at 65%, you know, of where our goal was for the load. So those guys, more so than ever for me, and I don't know what other coaches, but they're a vital piece, is vital, and I love my assistants, but they're just as important, and I feed off them. I feed off them a lot.
Off of the physical aspect of that, how do you prevent the mental fatigue too that could come along with being where you guys are at this season?
Yeah, so that's part of it. That's part of it. So I talked to Steve Spiro about one of our players. I said, man, his energy doesn't seem high. And then I said, man, is his knee okay? And he said, you know, he's got a 4-year-old at home. He's got a 2, you know. You probably know who I'm talking about. He hasn't been in his bed, you know, a lot. He just came here, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, like maybe it's not, you know, that's where the kind of art and science goes. Maybe it's not, like maybe I'm off here. Like I'm seeing that he's not moving great, but geez, like, so there's that piece to it.
Kenny, with the low number of practice days, do you think players value them or stress those sessions more instead of kind of Allen Iverson with practice?
No, I don't. They don't love to practice. These guys want to hoop. It's the NBA. They don't play. And this is the best group I've been around in terms of approaching practice. Well, let me correct myself. Draymond and Steph, those guys practice hard. I was shocked when I went to Golden State. Those guys practice. Our guys practice hard. Other teams I've been on, not so much, you know, but they don't love it. You know, we had another thing to do in practice today, and the players just started bringing it in themselves, led by DG, and that's where they're like, yeah, you're right, like enough, like, you know, we're trying to get all these things in and get practice. I'm checking off the practice plan, and they're like, no, we've had enough. I turned to one of them and said, this is the NBA, man, like. They called that we're bringing it in, you know, we'll try to, you know, do our side out of bounds and under out of bounds stuff tomorrow.
Last two, Spence and Chris.
Just basic question here. Early on, is there any indicator for you as a coach that will tell you that your team's going to be sharp versus you might have to find a way?
I don't think so. I wish that's my like dream. If I could get ahead of that, man, where is it? If there be like a litmus, like how can I test ourselves? I guess we can look at these last 6, you know, see how we're doing in these last, when we've kind of recovered from this trip. I think we'll get a better measurement. I'm not sure that stretch where we're traveling so much is a fair. We can make a fair judgment, or I can make a fair judgment on it. That's my opinion. Maybe there's other opinions. I do think in this stretch leading up, we'll have a little better idea where we are.
You've talked about how in the playoffs rotations shrink.
Yeah.
But depth has been such a key to your success this year. Do you believe you can consistently play 10 in the playoffs?
Yes. But what could happen is it could get reduced if say that 10th guy is not playing well or doesn't fit the matchup or something like that. So you can reduce it, but I anticipate starting any series with 10.